Hi, my name's Colin Gaffney from the Natural Learning Company. The purpose of the videos that we're going to be releasing every month is to offer some support, a few reminders to many of us around some tools and processes that can help us when we're working within or for progressive organizations that are serious about creating environments where participation and collaboration really work to deal with the challenges that we often experience and to enable everybody to be able to participate. So with that in mind, I'll be doing, this is going to be a really informal thing. I'm not going to edit all of the clips to make it look snazzy. It's going to be me, you, a flip chart probably, and a few tools and processes to share. I'm going to start with one today. And this one is a process, a technique that some of you who've worked with us before will be familiar with. But like everything, it's like listening. We all went on listening skills courses a million years ago. So yeah, we now know how to do reflective or empathic listening. And then we forget because our emotions kick in and we forget the discipline of it. Well, sometimes we forget the discipline of some tools and techniques, especially recently, post-COVID with online facilitation or leadership communication. So if any of you have to communicate stuff to groups, either in a leadership capacity or in a learning capacity as a facilitator, then we're going to be sharing one a month, different tools and techniques. Now, I don't know what they'll be. I'm going to lead off with one this month for August 2024. Maybe your feedback might inform some of the content that we share and explore together over the following months. We'll see. I have no idea. This is our process. Let's discover what it means. So a million years ago, I'm in a culture where losing face is a no-no. Really high social threat situation with a bunch of salespeople who normally, having worked with them in the past, were gregarious, they're big, they open themselves up. As Amy Cuddy said, they take up space. And these guys are walking into a workshop that was based on things like profitability calculations, return on investment calculations. In other words, it was a maths lesson where you have a right answer. And these guys had been brought up in the English education system, and they were terrified because they thought what was going to happen was that I was going to say, okay, there's a calculation, there's some volumes, do the maths and come up with the correct answer. And if you get it wrong, then what I'm going to do is say, well, come to the front and let's show you working. And they're terrified about this. This is a high social threat situation. Last thing they want to do. So they're all walking in. These guys are normally very loud, very boisterous. They're walking in like this. Oh my God, no, I don't want to do this. And they're sitting, all the early people get in at the back first so that they can hide from being picked on by the facilitator. All this stuff that some of you, I'm sure, have seen. So that's, right, okay, we've got a high stress situation. And one of the senior managers who was sponsoring the event looked at me and said, they look really quite worried today. I said, they are, it's a maths lesson. They think they're going to get embarrassed in front of everybody. What are you going to do? I said, well, you'll see. And then what we did was this. So for the first equation, we've got the equation, there it is. So on your own now. Have a go at the equation, use the resources, the calculator, go for it, see whether you can come up with the right answer based on the information that you've got. Off you go. Put a bit of music on in the background while they sweat and get stressed. Then, after a few minutes, we said, right, once you're all done, with the person next to you, we had them in kind of round tables and group work. So with the person next to you, now have a conversation and see if you can convince your partner whether or not you've got the right answer. They get into conversation. What have you got? I've got 500. What have you got? I've got 5,000. What? How does that work? And they have a conversation. Then they work it out together. Then we got the small groups and said, right, partners, now go and share what your answers are around your tables. So they all shared it around the tables and there's a few discussions. Then we got a spokesperson, because I could see that this was quite a high stress environment. And rather than have one individual say, well, I think my answer is this, for fear of getting it wrong, we've got a spokesperson to speak on behalf of the group so that it's actually not them under this kind of social threat. So, and then they fed it all back. Funnily enough, all of the answers were correct. Why? Because the process had filtered out the misunderstandings and the accidents that people make. By the time it actually got spoken into the room, it's been filtered through. We did this time and again. Second round, same process. Third round, same process. And what happened was lovely. If you've ever seen one of those time-lapse sessions where you have a flower and they do that time-lapse photography where they speed it up and you see the flower opening out in the dawn, beautiful photography, saw it in the room. These guys who were like this and were really stressed at first, they suddenly started opening out, and they didn't do it consciously. It's just that part of our awareness that's always asking ourselves, am I safe? Am I safe? Like a little tiny radar that we have in our psychology that's asking, are we okay? Are we okay? And the answer kept coming back, yeah, we're all right, it's okay. They may not have cognitively realized what it was, but the answer was, I'm okay here. And then they started to open out. Then they got noisier. Then when we got them into pairs and saying, convince your partner that you got the right answer, before too long, it was back at the levels that I was used to, which was gregarious, interactive, combative, really getting into it. The senior manager, after about half an hour of watching this process, looked at me and said, they're back to normal now. I said, yeah, it's just the process. Because when we feel safe, we learn better. All the research you can shake a stick at tells us this. Our psychological safety has a lot to do with our cognitive ability, and it just works. What's the process? Some of you will know it under varying different names. So this is our version of it. So firstly, what we do is we get them on our own, take a few minutes, think about this. So if you're going to ask a group a question about anything, like at the end of a meeting, any questions? You ever noticed that one? That's always a fun one. Any questions? Why don't we do this at the end of meetings? So, any questions? Have a conversation with your partner. Small group, share any questions burning. Spokesperson from the group, share what are your burning questions. Then you might actually get something that's really helpful. And that person who maybe didn't get it at the meeting, didn't quite get it right, maybe in this process or in this part of the process, they get to share because they feel comfortable. They're not too threatened by putting their hand up in the big group. They get the opportunity maybe here to go, I didn't quite understand that. Do you know what he means by that, or what they mean by this? This can be solved here and here before it goes here. If you repeat this process continuously, what will happen is your participation will increase. People will collaborate more effectively because they feel safer, because they're not being singled out or made wrong in front of a group. And if you are serious about making sure that everybody gets to participate, then this process can really help make it easier for that to happen. We have a name for it. We call it the 1, 2, free for all, and a spokesperson to speak for the group. So the technique that we talk about is 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do that online. Take a couple of minutes, think about the slide, and depending on your outcome, what does the data suggest? What does the image suggest? What do you think about? You can put a slide up if you're doing something online, and then get them into small breakout rooms. Do it in pairs first. So what does the information, what does the data suggest to you? In pairs, have a conversation about that. Help them to filter the confusion or misunderstandings in a safe environment with one more person. Then get them into small breakout rooms to share it. You can add more questions at that point. Okay, now that you've had a conversation about what the slide suggests in your groups, what might be, and depending on your outcomes, what might be some first steps we need to deal with X, Y, and Z. Get them into small groups, allow a spokesperson then to feedback on behalf for the group. What you will find, and we've found it for the last 25 years, is that it fosters creativity, participation, and collaboration. And people who would not normally speak up, and let's face it, you know this, there are some people in group situations that will never speak up. They've been too traumatized. By teachers when they were 6-year-old going, Johnny, what's the answer? And Johnny going, I don't know my name right now, I don't know the answer. And so what do? We fold our arms and we sit at the back of the class and we try not to get involved because that's very threatening. And 30 years later, people are still doing it in meeting rooms. So that's our process. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're already using it, fantastic. That's a bit of a reminder. If you're not using it, have a go at it, try it out. Let me know how it goes. So this is our first little giveaway for August. In September, we'll come up with something else. Don't know yet. Maybe some of your feedback might help to inform that, but I'll let you know beforehand. Okay, so welcome to the Natural Learning Company. If you've never worked with us before, this is the kind of stuff we do. And of course, for those of you who've worked with us in the past, nice to see you. That's just a bit of a reminder. See you in September.